Doc Rivers continues to time and time again not get it when it comes to getting... Oh! Let him play!
How Connecticut are you? Are you wearing khakis and a polo?
Regarding Lynch, who cares? What was he going to do today? Was he going to address his supporters? Oh, thank you for the question.
Cap ran through the entire Yankee lineup, but he left out one guy, and his name is Alex Rodriguez.
I like to try and forget about him because.
From Los Angeles, this is Dave in the City, brought to you by Locks of the Week Radio. Now, here's Dave Medina.
Good evening, sports fans, and a pleasure to have you here for the big Wednesday show coming up on an NFC and AFC championship weekend. Good to have you with us from the Dave in the City studios in sunny Southern California. Good to be here, just me solo tonight. So if you have anything to say to us, we invite you to call the program at 424-253-0126. And our topic tonight until 10 o'clock tonight, if you're watching the program live on YouTube, is the conference championship weekend in the NFL. 4 good teams, 3 capable teams. We'll run down the one that isn't so capable in our preview, and pretty good conference championship weekend coming up. Now, how they got there? First, we start with the Broncos, which is the one I think is a little bit over their head. They did not play well in the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and in a lot of ways, they were fortunate to win. They should have really scored a lot more than they did, and they didn't. And they got out of it somehow. Things were going well for Pittsburgh. That's my team, and then it turned when Fitzgerald Toussaint, a third-string running back for the Steelers, fumbled the ball as he was heading towards the 30-yard line. Might have even been the 20-yard line. I wasn't exactly sure where he was, but he was certainly inside a field goal range, and that turnover really messed everything up. Oh, my goodness. That was a killer. Because from that point on, Denver marched down the field and scored their first touchdown in over 13 postseason quarters with Peyton Manning at the quarterback. Then they took that and carried the momentum and won the game. But I'm sure anybody who saw the game, especially a Denver fan, would not feel very proud of that win. But a win nonetheless. And now they go into Sunday with a home game, but against the New England Patriots. It's hard to imagine that the Patriots would be anything other than the favorite in this one. So Denver might be in a bit over their heads. I mean, their defense is certainly great, but I don't really see how they're going to beat them. I just don't know how they're going to win this game. I mean, their defense is good, and they can slow the Patriots down, and it might even be close for a half, but in the second half, the Pats are going to run away from the Denver Broncos. I really think that the Broncos are going to be completely out of their element because the quarterback play has just been so bad. It's been terrible. So that's just not looking good. That's game number 1 of the NFC and of the conference championships, the AFC championship game. Game number 2. Oh yeah, by the way, the Patriots beat the Kansas City Chiefs, where the Chiefs made it close, but then they ended up coming back and they won the game by 7 points. Game number 2 is the NFC Championship game. You've got the Arizona Cardinals having a pretty good year, although they survived an incredible Hail Mary by Aaron Rodgers when they were over at the first of all, the Packers started way back, like near their own end zone. And then there was one crazy play on what I think was a 4th and 20, got them to midfield. Janis, it looked like a receiver. I think he was a tight end. I mean, you've never really seen him play, and he was getting some minutes because a bunch of guys are getting hurt. And Devontae Adams, the latest to get hurt, was hurt in the middle of the game. He did not return, so Janis took over the slack, and he just, he's not that athletic of a guy. He's not very fast, but he made the catches when they mattered, and that one in particular extended the game. That was a huge play. And then again, you had Aaron Rodgers going for the end zone, and Janis caught the ball in the end zone. He looked like he was wide open, but I mean that play was a jumble. I'm sure he wasn't wide open in the beginning of the play, and that extended the game too. Suddenly we had overtime, and the Packers with all the momentum until one play where the Packers rushed everybody, and they left Larry Fitzgerald wide open on the sideline, and all Carson Palmer had to do was lob the ball to him, and he took that thing 75 yards, all the way up to the 5-yard line of the Packers. And from that point, it was pretty much over. Because they were guaranteed at least a field goal. All they could really do is turn the ball over to mess that up. They didn't, and not only that, but they kept running the ball, and they ran it, and then they did a quick, I think it was a quick screen pass into the end zone, and got the win in overtime for the Cardinals to advance. That then set up the final entry in the conference championship round. The Carolina Panthers, who went up 21-0 before you could blink. I mean, I slept in pretty late, so I got up to watching this, and I'm like, whoa, they're up by 21 points already? And they were. It was like in the first 5 minutes, they went up 3 touchdowns. Then they went up another 10 points to go up 31-0 at the half. And many would think that the game was over. But something about the Carolina Panthers led some to believe that it was not over. And those people were right. The Seahawks took advantage of another instance of Carolina taking their foot off the gas pedal. They first got the field goal, then they got another touchdown, and then they started inching closer and closer and closer until suddenly it was a 7-point game with 2 minutes left, and the Seahawks with the ball trying to get an onside kick to extend the game. That didn't take place, but you could see how frighteningly close the game got after being up by 31. It was much like the Giants game that the Carolina Panthers played at MetLife Stadium when they were up 28 points and nearly blew that game, and it came down to the very end of that one. They had to kick a field goal at the end of the game in order to win that one in the regular season. But man, that's a scary moment for Panthers fans. But the fact remains, this is a team with a great defensive front, with a quarterback playing at the very top of his game, Cam Newton. By all accounts, he looks like a guy that's going to end up winning the NFL MVP this year. And he has one game to win now to get to a Super Bowl. That's huge. And you can see Cam Newton's gone a long way. He's not making critical mistakes in big moments like he had been in the past. Very different situation. If they're blowing leads, not so much because of him. It's just the whole team. It's a team effort. They're just letting up too much defensively. And, for all we know, they may not even be that good. So it's, the defense. But the front of the defense is great. I mean, you got guys like Kuechly, and you have, I'm trying to think who else. Panthers defense. It's a very fierce defense, though. I mean, you're talking about what the Cardinals think, who the Cardinals think is the best defense in the league. That was quoted in a blog called Revenge of the Birds. So you can see it is quite a team. The other guys on the defense, you're looking at some really, really, really capable players. And let's get to it. I mean, you remember Kurt Coleman getting into it with Odell Beckham Jr., but he doesn't play in the front. He's the safety. Roman Harper's the other safety, and then Shaq Thompson, Jared Allen, and Star Lotulelei, who I remember going back to when he was with who was it? I think he was with Minnesota or something like that. He played with Utah. That's why I remember him so well, because he was a Ute. So that's a guy that actually has really had a rise. He really has a bright star. It's a very, very good defense. Really good defense. And that was also why I thought that the Carolina Panthers were going to be in this game, because that defense was so good. And I made this prediction even after I made the prediction, and then Kelvin Benjamin breaks his ACL and he's out for the year. And I stayed with it because I said, well, you know what? This is still a great defense. And Cam Newton can make plays. And he's made plays like you wouldn't have imagined. I mean, again, this is the best season I've ever seen him play in the NFL. He looks really good. So that sets up a really good game. Because the Cardinals are not going to be quite as good defensively without Tyrann Mathieu, a.k.a. the Honey Badger. But it's a team that still has a really good defense, and their corners are much better. I mean, Rogers, Cromartie, and it's a very good defense that can cover and rush the passer. It can be a little tricky though, because my friend Coach has said that the Cardinals are almost too aggressive in their defense. They're always running after the passer, and so they send everybody a lot, and that can be great. It can shut down an offense, but if they overextend that aggression, then suddenly you're leaving guys wide open if the quarterback gets it off in time, and that has happened. They have been burned, and I think that's similar. That's pretty much what happened in the Packer game last weekend in the divisional round. I mean, they just got a little too overzealous with that rush, and they just left guys had plenty of time to get open. And if you have a fairly mobile guy, Rodgers proved himself to be mobile on that night, then you could put yourself in a lot of trouble, and that's exactly what happened. So the Cardinals do have a great defense as well. And for me, this game's pretty even. But I think if we're going to go to predictions now, go to the AFC first, and that one's easy. To me, I think it's the Patriots. I think they'll win. Look, I know that it is possible for the Broncos to eke out a win. To do that, they're going to have to really focus on the run, which they can do. And I think it would be C.J. Anderson leading that charge. They're going to have to be effective in the running game, and their defense is going to have to play as good a game as they've played all year. I mean, I honestly don't think they can do it. I just think they're going to run out of gas at some point, and they got to score points. And how are you going to do that if Peyton Manning is ineffective with his arm and he can't get the ball deep? I mean, you just haven't seen that all year. I don't see any reason why they would suddenly be really good. The defense would have to get all kinds of takeaways to even be in the game. So I don't see it. I mean, I think they could be close for a while, but eventually the Patriots should win the game. So I got Patriots in the first game in the AFC. NFC, Carolina. I think this team has been, the question of can they handle playoff pressure was raised. I raised it. But after seeing that first game, they answered the bell really well, and they even managed a little adversity towards the end. It is close. I don't think it's a slam dunk, but I do think the Carolina Panthers have this game. Time will tell. And both teams have been to the Super Bowl before. Both franchises have been to the Super Bowl before. Both quarterbacks have not. So it's a meeting of two. It is a meeting of two Heisman quarterback winners. I don't remember Carson Palmer winning a Heisman Award before. I think he did. I have to look that up. But but at any rate, it's a very fun game. That second game is going to be really, really fun. And I'm just going to double check that. Oh, you did get the Heisman Trophy. Yeah, just checking. All right, that's pretty good. So I think they said that that's the first meeting of Heisman winners in a conference championship game. I don't know since how long, since forever probably. And also, what is the other thing? It is the first ever conference championship game hosted by the Carolina Panthers at their home stadium. So that's a big moment. So everything looks really, really exciting. Some fresh blood. You got teams you don't normally see you've seen more and more of them, though. I mean, the Cardinals and the Panthers have represented in the playoffs pretty frequently in the last 5 years. So it's not a huge surprise to see them in this game. But nevertheless, it's going to be interesting and fun and a little bit fresh. Definitely in the case where either quarterback, and they've had a pretty good career so far, either quarterback is going to have his shot to get to his first Super Bowl as a quarterback. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. So we were in for a really fun time, and away we go. Not much of a show tonight. I have no guests planned, no random questions. Kevin on the Cape will not be with us tonight. Andy won't be with us tonight. John, Ron, they're all doing things, and I think what that says to me is that that's why we do the podcast on Wednesday. Thursday night, people are out doing things, and I'm just sitting here. Nobody's in this room right now. It's just me. Usually we have like my roommates here, his girlfriends, or somebody's here. We even have somebody visiting from out of town. He's not here either. It's just me. 3 out of the 4 people who are cohabitating the space are not in the room. So that says it all. I think it's pretty obvious to me that Thursday nights are nights to go out. They're not nights to do a podcast. And anyone who does, I feel sorry for them most of the time, because it doesn't seem like you're going to get many people to commit to a show. A lot of factors came into my scheduling the program on Wednesday, and I just think that Wednesday winds up being the day with the least amount of conflicts amongst all the factors. Personal schedules, professional schedules, sports schedules. It's just the day of the week that works the best. It's not too far into the week. It's not too soon after the week. The other day we would have chosen would have been Monday. Monday would have been the other day to do the show. Monday would have been a good day to do the show, except that Monday Night Football happens during the fall, so then that doesn't work out. Tuesday's okay, and we do move the show to Tuesdays on occasion whenever we have this conflict usually, but it was a unique situation this time around. We really didn't have the latitude as normal. The reason I couldn't do it yesterday, Wednesday, is because I was sick, and I was sick enough where the voice was not going to be able to last for more than like 5 minutes at a time. And I mean, even now it's kind of starting to fade, but here I am doing the program, so that's basically it. So, when you get into doing a show on Thursday, I mean, you do it because you have to serve the people, and I think I'd rather at least have a show to document that I was here than not do a show at all on short notice. And the best thing I could have done is maybe just not plan a show in the first place. I thought about that. I almost came close to doing it, and it did not happen for me. But it still was nice to come on here and talk a bit about sports. So even if I'm the only one doing the show tonight, it's a good time. So I don't regret the move, and I should be all right. So let's carry on. A few other notes before I leave you tonight. Chip Kelly was hired as the coach of the San Francisco 49ers over the last 7 days. That's a surprise to me. I didn't think he was actually going to go there, and I didn't think they were going to take him. And now he's such a huge figure in football right now, and he was a very big fail in pro football up to this point. He could not get along with anybody in Philadelphia. Now he's with San Francisco, and I'm like, that ownership group's no cakewalk either. Those guys are really like to meddle with the operations, and Chip Kelly seems like he likes to meddle with the operations. So I'm like, how is this going to end well? And the answer is it's not, and it's going to be a spectacular set of fiery fireworks in the 49ers front office. So just sit back and enjoy, because I think that's what's going to happen. But I will add this. Chip Kelly does have smart football knowledge, and I think he's good with the X's and O's. And on that basis alone, the fact that he knows football, he's already an improvement over Jim Tomsula. And as our friend Ron in New Jersey said, Tomsula had no business being an NFL coach in the first place. He is completely unqualified. He should never have been hired by any team, let alone the Niners. So that makes perfect sense to me. So Chip Kelly, is a big upgrade just from that. I mean, just the fact that he knows what he's doing. That's key. Now, he's pig-headed. He has alienated talent, but I think you have the basis for what could end up being at least some excitement in the 49ers organization. I mean, I don't necessarily think they're going to be good, but at least they'll be interesting. So that part of it is reasonable. I mean, Niner fans were not that gung-ho about this move at all. They weren't excited. They weren't going, woohoo, we got him. They weren't doing any of that. They're like, all right, we got the guy, but then, how is he going to get along with everybody? But he's pretty good, so he's not terrible, but he's not great, and he's not a slam dunk. I mean, yeah, you get the idea. So, what is going to happen? I don't know. That's going to be crazy. So away we go with that. So, as we have that in the background, we look at the Eagles. What's their answer? They hire a guy named Doug Peterson, a former backup quarterback who was with the Packers for 2 stints, and he was with the Chiefs. So, I mean, you look at that, I'm like, I have no idea who he was. And then my friend Jacob Rosales jogged my memory, and eventually I figured out that, yeah, he used to be that guy sitting in the corner whenever Rodgers was on the field, and formerly sat in the corner when Brett Favre was on the field in his first tour of duty with Green Bay. So I'm like, that guy is going to be a coach? It's like, I don't know. Similar situation, though, where who got hired today? Somebody did. But somebody got hired, and we just have no idea what to expect from him as coach. I think... Oh, you know what it was? It was the Niners hiring their new defensive coordinator. Or is it their offensive coordinator? Let me see. I was thinking, let's see. Mike Vrabel, that's the guy. So, yeah, Mike Vrabel gets the defensive coordinator job, and that seems like a strange choice because he has no coaching experience. But I do remember him being a linebacker with the New England Patriots, so there is that. But again, with no head coaching experience, it may not be good. It could be good. Guys with no head coaching experience sometimes work. Steve Kerr had no NBA or any level of basketball coaching experience when he joined the Warriors. What did he do? He took them to a completely different level of excellence that continues today, even though he hasn't actually been coaching the games because of his back injury. That's a key point. So it can work, but a lot of times it doesn't. So it's gonna be a very different year for the 49ers. Could be a good year. Who knows? But they also need to get talent, and Chip Kelly again does not seem to be the kind of coach that welcomes and fosters talent. He welcomes and fosters system, and I'm not a fan of that. That's also why I was not 100% excited about him going to USC when that rumor was going about. But I think if he had he made the program and been the next USC head coach, I would have been I would have been good with it, because I would have been like, you know what? Yes, he doesn't seem to want to have like this flashy players on his team, and USC is all about flashy players. But here's the key: he has it organized. As whatever his system is, it's a system. Like he has his stuff together. So that you can give that a chance, because at least he has a plan. So we'll see. We will see what his plan is for the Bay Area. And it's going to be one to follow, no doubt. So the conference championship's coming up this weekend. If you have a comment for us, at Ditko, that's on Twitter if you want to find us there. I think you end up with matchups that can create pretty good Super Bowl games. And really the only one that's going to stink is if the Broncos somehow get in and play either of the other two teams, because then Manning will be completely finished. He will be wiped out by the first quarter So other than that, you should have a decent game. Bill Belichick's still a good coach, so if his team advances to the Super Bowl, I feel like they're outmatched, but they ought to be in the game because he can figure out a way to make the most of any scheme, any formation, any defense that he plays against. He'll do the best he can. Belichick teams have gotten wiped out in the past, but I don't remember them losing by very many points in the playoffs, ever. Like, they'll lose playoff games. Do you ever see them lose by a lot? The most I think they remember them losing in any playoff game that I can recall. Well, there was one where they had Matt Castle, and that game was against the Baltimore Ravens. You just got that one. You got to wipe out. Different quarterback. I mean, they had to put him in there because Brady was out for the season. The one I was thinking of was 10 years ago, when the Patriots were completely dominated by the Denver Broncos. Funny thing, isn't it? It's the same two teams, but they were different back then, obviously. Jake Plummer was a quarterback for Denver at the time, and yes, they were in Denver at the time as well, but it was a different story. And I think you can make the point that the offense was not as exciting as it is today for New England. People can talk about Rob Gronkowski. They can talk about Julian Edelman, and there are things to talk about with both of those guys. They're really good. But against an NFC team, I mean, it's gonna be tough to imagine. So in that game I mentioned, Broncos Patriots, the divisional round 2005 season. Broncos beat the Patriots 27-13, and honestly, it felt like a bigger blowout than that. I just remember that they were up in that game for a while, and I think the Broncos were up by as many as let's see, that's 11 points. I guess it was 11. I guess that's they were up 10-3 early, and 17-6. And they finished the game winning 27-13. So so the point of all that is it was a pretty big win. They won by 14, 2 touchdowns. So that was the biggest upset that was the biggest blowout I can remember the Patriots losing by in a Tom Brady year. So we'll see if that plays out this time around. So in the Super Bowl, the Patriots aren't going to win, but I do think they'll be in the game if they get that far. And if whoever gets out of the NFC, I think I would put them over the Patriots in the Super Bowl. So come Super Bowl week, we'll see if I hold myself to that prediction, and we'll see what happens. So that's our show. That really is it. We don't have any guests. We don't have any agenda. We are done. That's the program tonight. And I want to thank everybody for listening. We'll do better next time. Get our guests in order. And with a full week, I should be able to... That's the other thing. I forgot to mention that. We had a holiday on Monday, so there was one other day I couldn't use to prepare the program. Doesn't matter. Hope you enjoyed this program anyway. We'll enjoy those conference championships, and we'll see you next time.